Hello friends. Welcome to my new Java Enterprise Programming tutorial series video. Today, I will teach you how to implement form-based authentication in a web application. In this type of authentication, when a user tries to access web pages or resources, which he or she doesn't have access, it is directed to a login page, where username and password are prompted. If particular user is a valid user, he or she can provide its user credentials and proceed. But if user is an invalid user, he or she cannot access the web pages or resources. In this tutorial, we will create a login page to take user credentials when user tries to access a restricted page. A login error page which will be displayed when a user enters incorrect credentials. We will also create an admin page which will have access to administrators of web application. Let's move ahead to NetBeans and see how to implement form-based authentication in a web application. Friends, in order to implement form-based authentication, let's create a web application. Go to File menu, and select New Project. New Project dialog box gets open. In the Categories list, select Java Web and select Web Application in the Projects list. Click Next. New Web Application dialog box gets open. Enter the name of the web application as Authentication App. Click Next. Server and Settings section of the new web application dialog box gets open. NetBeans comes with a Glassfish Server 4, we will select Glassfish Server 4 as the server. Choose Java EE 7 as Java EE version. The context path of web application is /authentication app. Click Next. Moving ahead, it asks us to select frameworks. Just click Finish without selecting any frameworks. In Projects tab, Authentication App gets created. In order to create an admin page JSP, go to Web Pages folder, right-click New and click on Other. New File dialog box gets open. In the Categories list, select Web and select JSP page in the File Types list. Click Next. Enter admin in the file name text box. Provide a folder name as admin. Admin JSP file will be created in an admin folder of web application. Click Finish. Admin.jsp page gets created. In this tutorial, we will provide form-based authentication to admin.jsp page. All administrators users will have only access to view this page. Let's provide a title to it as admin page. Let's provide a heading to it as Welcome Admin. If you are administrator of Authentication App, then you can view it on web browser, after providing correct user credentials. If we run this admin page now, we can access it as normal user. Currently, it doesn't have admin authentication. Right-click on Application Root and select Run. It deploys and run Authentication App. Let's browse to admin.jsp. It displays Welcome Admin. Let's move ahead and provide form-based authentication to this admin folder. Any access to admin folder has to pass through valid user credential authentication. Let's move ahead and create a Login Jsp page. In order to create a Login Jsp, go to Web Pages folder, right-click New and click on Other. New File dialog box gets open. In the Categories list, select Web and select JSP page in the File Types list. Click Next. Enter Login in the file name text box. Click Finish. Login.jsp page gets created. Let's provide a title to it as Authenticate User. This page will contain username and password text boxes, where user will enter its credential. It also has a submit button to submit user credentials. Let's provide a heading as Please enter username and password to access admin page. Let's create a form in the JSP page. Create a form element. Inside form element we will create a table element. This table will hold username, password in a tabular form. Let's provide a row through tr element. This tr will hold 2 columns through td element. One td will be for label and other for its text box. Provide username label to first td element. In second td element, provide a text box through input element. It has a type attribute having value as text. It signifies that it is a text box. Let's provide a name attribute. Its value has a special significance, we will see later. Let's copy full tr element and paste it for password credential. Provide a label as password. And as it is a password field, provide a text box with input type as password. Let's copy full tr element and paste below to provide third row for submit button. Leave first td element empty. In second td, provide a submit button. And as it is a submit button, provide input type as submit. Provide a name to it as login. Let's run login.jsp. It displays form to user for providing user credentials. When user tries to access an admin page, it will be redirected to login.jsp page for username and password for authentication. Then, user enters username and password and clicks on submit button. But, where does username and password get submitted? Let's move ahead and provide action to form element. In the form element provide method as post. When user hits submit button, the request will be a post request. Here, every Java EE compliant application server will have a security servlet already deployed on installation. This servlet is mapped to the j_security_check URL. And its doPost method is executed when the form is submitted. So we provide action to our form as J_security_check. Security servlet takes username and password from the submit request. This servlet extract username by J_username and password by J_password. Thus, we have to provide name attributes to these fields, so that security servlet can extract from request. Name for username would be J_username. Name for password would be J_password. Let's move ahead and create a login error.jsp. In order to create a login error.jsp, go to Web Pages folder, right-click New and click on Other. New File dialog box gets open. In the Categories list, select Web and select JSP page in the File Types list. Click Next. Enter login_error in the file name text box. Click Finish. Login_error.jsp page gets created. When user enters invalid credentials, security servlet will forward it to this login_error.jsp. It displays authentication failure message and asks him to try again. Let's copy login.jsp page and paste on login_error.jsp page. Let's provide a title to it as Authentication Error. Let's provide a heading as There was an error logging in. Please try once again. Let's provide this message in red color. Go to H3 element and provide a style attribute. Provide it a value as color::red. Rest will be same as login.jsp. It will allow user to try once again. Let's go ahead and run this file. Let's see the complete flow of the authentication app web application. User tries to access admin page. This page is secured to form-based authentication, we will see it later. Server redirects it to login.jsp page for admin access credentials. User enters username, password and hits submit button. Security servlet checks for username and password authenticity. If username, password are correct, then it is redirected to admin.jsp page. And if username, password are not correct, then it redirects it to loginerror.jsp page for retry. Currently, there is no form-based authentication in place. And we can access admin page. Let's move ahead and configure our application for form-based authentication. When an unauthenticated user attempts to access a secured page, that is admin page, our application must redirect the user to the login page. Once the user has successfully authenticated through the application's security realm, the user is presented with the page he or she was trying to access. If the user does not successfully authenticate, the application must direct the user to our login error page. All of this needs to be configured in the application's web.xml deployment descriptor. Let's create a standard deployment descriptor web.xml file for our application. In order to create web.xml file, go to Authentication App Root folder, right-click New and click on Other. New File dialog box gets open. In the Categories list, select Web and select Standard Deployment Descriptor, web.xml, in the File Types list. Click Next and then click Finish. Web.xml file gets created. It has various tabs. Go to Security tab and we will configure Form-based Authentication on it. It has 3 sections: Login Configuration, Security Roles, and Security Constraints. In the Login Configuration section, we need to choose the type of authentication the application will use. We select Form-based Authentication for this tutorial. For Form-based Authentication, we also need to indicate the login and login error pages. Thus, we have to just point login and login error JSP pages to these text boxes, which we created before. Just click on Browse button and select appropriate JSP pages for the same. Provide a realm name as file. We will discuss it later. Go to Source tab and you will see Login Configuration in web.xml. Either you configure directly here or use tabs as seen before. Go back to Security tab. In the Security Roles section, we add security roles for our web application. Security roles can be added by clicking on the Add button. Add Security Role dialog gets open. We can then add a role name. Here we create a security role for the admin. We also provide an optional description as Administrator. After clicking the OK button, we can see our newly added security role in the NetBeans web.xml visual editor. Next, we need to specify what roles have access to what pages. We can do this by clicking on the Add Security Constraint button. It can be added by clicking on the Add Security Constraint button. We provide a display name as Admin Page Constraint. It's just a descriptive name. We then need to specify the pages that belong to our security constraint. We do this by clicking on the Add button under the Web Resource Collection section. Add Web Resource dialog box gets open. We then need to provide a resource name, an optional description and URL pattern for the pages belonging to our security constraint. All administrative pages are under the admin folder. Therefore the URL pattern to access them is /admin/*, meaning any URL beginning with /admin, after the context root of our application. Below we provide this authentication to all HTTP methods. Click on OK. In order to allow only authorized users to view our protected pages, we need to check the Enable Authentication Constraint checkbox and enter the role that are authorized to view the admin pages in the role name field by clicking on Edit button. In the Source tab, you can see NetBeans has done all the entries for us. We can also configure all this manually, but I prefer it through tabs. Now one last thing remains is to configure our application server for this authentication. As we are using Glassfish server for this application. When deploying our application to Glassfish, we need to modify Glassfish web.xml, a Glassfish specific deployment descriptor. Let's create a Glassfish web.xml file for our application. In order to create Glassfish web.xml file, go to Authentication App Root folder, right-click New and click on Other. New File dialog box gets open. In the Categories list, select Glassfish and select Glassfish descriptor in the File Types list. Click Next and then click Finish. Sunweb.xml file gets created. After opening this file and clicking on the Security tab, we can modify the security role mappings for our application. Click on Add Security Role Mapping. In our case, security role name would be admin. Let's assign a group to this security role. Click on Add Group and provide a group name as Application Admin. Click OK. In order to configure our users on application server, we go to Services window in NetBeans. Go to Servers list and right-click on Glassfish Server, and select View Domain Admin Console. It opens Glassfish Server, Admin Console running on port 4848. In the Configurations task, open Server Config list. Under Server Config list, browse Security list. It has a Realms folder. Just open it and you will see there are 3 security realms, under Realms folders such as Admin Realm, Certificate, and File Realm. Moving to web.xml file, you can see that we have provided File Realm in Form-based Authentication, under Login Configuration section. So let's move ahead and click on File Realm. Under File Realm Security, we go to Manage Users to create a new user who is admin for our application. We create new file user by clicking New button. It opens a page to create a new File Realm user. User ID is just like a username. So let's say we provide a user ID as HubSpot. Below user ID, there is a group list text box. Let's open sunweb.xml file. You see we have provided a group name as Application Admin. This Application Admin group is defined for admin role. This role can access /admin, /URL pattern. Under group list we provide the same name. Now let's provide a password to our user HubSpot. Let's say I provide password as hello. Confirm it. And click OK. That's it, friends. We have configured authentication to admin web pages. Having URL pattern as /admin, /star. We have also configured a file realm user who can access these admin pages. Let's move ahead and see it's working. Let's move ahead and deploy our web application. Go to admin.jsp page and run it. It is having a URL pattern as /admin/star. Whoops! Instead of showing welcome administration, it redirected us to Login.jsp page and ask us to, please enter username and password to access admin page. Let's provide correct username and password and click on Submit button. Server authenticates it for HubSpot user and displays welcome admin, as it is a valid admin user. Let's close browser. Clean and build our web application and redeploy it. Run again admin.jsp. This time provide incorrect password to HubSpot username and click Submit. As it is an invalid login credential, it redirects us to loginerror.jsp page. It asks us to please try once again. Provide correct login credentials and click Submit. It opens admin page and displays welcome admin. So friends, go through this video 2 to 3 times so that how to implement form-based authentication in a web application concept gets more clear to you. Hope you like this video. Please give 1 minute to like, share, comment or subscribe my channel, or you can visit my website at www.hubspot.com.